Hello folks, back again. I did a recent video on the cherry ukuleles, sorry, the cedar ukuleles that I'm looking into doing a run of, putting my own name on. That was a couple of, 3 videos back, if I'm precise. If you haven't watched that video, go there now and watch it. So this one makes sense. I'm just doing a bit of a feedback to some of the responses I got, which I found very helpful, and I did give written responses to those, so you can go to your comment and find a written response. But I thought that I would do a video of responses as well, just because you can cover more ground in conversation than you can in written text response. So let me just go through some of these. Some of them, these folks I'm very familiar with. They've been watching my videos for a long time. Others are new. The first one who responded is new to me, goes by Hathis Totila. His comment was, I liked manufacturer number 3, and that is, let me just show you one of the number 3s. This is the Smiger ukuleles. I like the wood rosette, the slotted headstock, and even the bridge shape. So let's find one with a slotted headstock. Here you go, here's one with a slotted headstock and the sort of trapezoid bridge. I can agree with that. The cutaway would make it stand out compared to most offerings, but not totally necessarily. I would agree that I don't like laser etched rosettes or the pull-through bridge. I do like the black tuners and strap buttons. I don't use a strap very often, but it's nice to have them there from the factory when I do. I don't know if you're going to do a tenor in a concert line, or just one. I'd throw in that I love slotted headstocks on tenors, but feel they're unbalanced on concert sizes. I agree with a lot of that. First of all, I do like the bridge shape. I agree with you that the cutaway and this sort of modern slotted headstock is very distinguished, would sort of make me stand out from other ukuleles in this area. I also said I don't like the etched rosettes like this one. I agree with you on that. Sort of etched rosettes that you see on thousands of different ukuleles on eBay and Amazon. I'm keen to stay away from that. Black tuners as opposed to gold or chrome, I guess I can agree with that. I don't have a strong preference, but it's helpful. I'm thinking of doing a concert line and then possibly a tenor line to follow, and I do agree with you that the slotted headstock is natural on a tenor, but perhaps a solid headstock like this on a concert would be better. So thanks very much for those comments. I don't find anything to disagree with there, and your choice of number 3, which is the Smiger ukuleles, is one of my leading choices as well, so we're on board there. The Old Kid, how you doing, old chap? Heard from you a few times, always glad to get your comments. Knows my name. Hey Daniel, okay, here are my thoughts about these ukes. I like the sound of the first matte finished uke. I don't like all the bling because it's money not looks. It talks about how you've ordered 2 Smigers before, somebody who does Alibaba, I take it. One with cheap wood on the back, the other came with great looks, but position of bridge being 9mm too far backwards. Yes, I've had that happen to me as well, which puts it out of tune, actually causes the intonation to go out as you play up the neck. The tuners are good quality. I even looked at Raisin on Alibaba, which is one of these. Last but not least, I'd like to have that string through bridge because you never get problems with a lifting bridge, and it's not hard to restring if you understand how it works. Stick the string through, pull out the sound hole, make a knot, tighten it, and pull it back in. Where's the problem? Yeah, I mean, you're right. Let's pull out one of these. This is the first manufacturer. Let's show you one of these. So what he's talking about is this that I was complaining about, which just has a hole, a stop hole in the bridge, so you have to feed it through, tie a knot, pull it back. Simple for folks like us, but I tell you what, that's going to put people off. just because most people are used to a tie bar bridge or a pin bridge. I have no problem with these. It's hard to restring one at a time without slackening off the other three. So I was just thinking about avoiding that, but so many of you have tuned in, as you'll see from the comments, to say that's not an issue with you, so I might reconsider that. You like the first matte finish one, which was actually not the first number one, that was number two. That was this one. Very similar to the other matte finished one. Can't really tell the difference. Looks like they're made in the same factory to me. Just slightly different shaped headstock. I'm not keen on either of those, to be honest with you. I like the matte finish, but the design is not as good as some of the others. So I might try to see if I might pick one of these gloss finishes and see if they can do it in a matte. So I'll update you on that. Thomas Tommy, interesting name. I like all of them. They're all nice. I've been playing guitar for 50 years longer. I like Cedar with the best. So do I. I also like the first Cutaway, but would like it on a larger body with the peg tuner. Okay, so what I'm assuming that you're saying is the first Cutaway would be this Smiter, and you'd like it with a peg tuner, which is a friction tuner. Yeah, there are different types of friction tuner. There are the old-fashioned just violin pegs that tune friction-wise, and then there are the new sort of pegs within a sheathing with a screw that hold it tight, and I hate those. I absolutely despise those. They don't stay in tune. I'm not opposed to good machine tuners if they're well made and stay in tune. And I think that friction pegs, particularly good friction pegs, are really going to drive up the price. You tend to see those on really high-end ukes. So I'm not sure that would be an option. I can ask about it. Then you say something that I disagree with. You say, I wish you all the best with these, but how to expect us to buy one without knowing where they're made? Well, like 95% of all guitars and ukuleles on the market, they're made in China or another Asian country. That is not to say that they are bad. Watch my videos, that's all I can say. I've talked about the many brands that are now being made in China that are considered top guitars. You know, your Breedloves, your Guild Gad series, your Eastman guitars, even some of the newer Martin X series I think are made in China. Lots of really high-end guitars are made in China, Singapore, Korea, and many other Indonesia, many other Asian countries. It's not a deal breaker anymore. There are great makers over there and great bargains to be had. I wasn't sure that I was obfuscating the origin of these. I think most people know, and when people ask me, I certainly tell them that most of the ukuleles I sell are made in China. And then he says that's like going to a Martin dealer and buying a Sigma. I understand what you're trying to do with the comparison there, but I don't think it quite works. Firstly, thanks for comparing me to a Martin dealer. Sigmas are very well-made guitars. They're not made by Martin anymore. I think they're who are they made by now? Went right out of my head, but it's another reputable brand. I'm sure somebody will correct me and tell me in a comment. Sigmas are very good guitars. They're well made, and in some cases, some of the older ones rival Martin guitars. I'm not sure that the comparison works. I'm not trying to be a high-end ukulele dealer trying to pass off budget ukuleles as high-end ukes. I'm not doing that at all. So I have to disagree with your analogy there. Most musicians are shy about buying instruments unless they know who made them. No, I'm sorry. There are those, and there are a small percentage that are absolutely obsessed with origins. And as soon as they come and buy a guitar or ukulele from me and they say, where are these made? I know if I say anything but America, or a European country, they're going to walk away. They're working on an older model. They haven't updated their information. They think everything that's not made in the US for a guitar, or Europe for a bowed string instrument, is substandard. That's no longer the case. So there are those that obsess over where something's made, and that's not just limited to instruments either. When I've sold other things like clothes, I get people that are obsessed by that as well. But to be honest with you, I would say the vast majority of people who buy instruments from me, and bear in mind, I've sold thousands of instruments over the years, don't bother to find out where they're made or learn very much about their instrument at all. Remember, not everyone who buys instruments are guitar and ukulele enthusiasts like the people who watch these videos. Most people are just, they want something that plays, that looks good, that sounds good, that feels good, and really they don't have much questions beyond that. Of course they want to think they're getting a good deal when they buy the instrument, but most people do not know about their instruments at all, and the people that think they know don't always have the correct information. This is definitely true in the bowed string world with violinists and cellists, and I found it to be fairly consistent also in the plucked string world with guitar players. So I have to disagree with a lot of what you say, although I do like your comments about the ukuleles and the feedback. I really appreciate. Stephen Albrecht, hope I said that right, who has got to me before, and I really appreciate his feedback. The slotted headstock and tuning machines on the very first sample get my vote. So yeah, he's talking about this this one here. And I talked about how I liked this sort of brushed chrome, almost like a factory brass chrome finish on these. They're my favorite tuners so far, so I'll have to agree on that. As a note, I own two ukuleles with string-through bridges. They're usually quite easy to change strings on. Push the strings through the bridge, pull them from the sound hole, and tie the knot and pull them back. But I love a pin bridge. It's simple, easy to change strings. The fancy inlays have never been a deciding factor in my purchase of an instrument, but I am not. I'm just not into over-the-top bling. As for back and side woods, the ebony or rosewood, just gorgeous woods. And this one, of course, is the ebony finish. So I think this ranks pretty highly, this first manufacturer. Here's the other one by them. Very, very similar. It's a concert size. So a vote for that collective. And I agree with most of what you say, although I do like some of the koa and maple backed ukes as well. Rosewood and this new brushed ebony I think is fantastic. Diorman Roby, who comments regularly, and I appreciate it. I don't think I've seen one with a cutaway before. Does anyone actually play upper range on a uke? And I replied to him, said, well, Jake does. And those of you who are ukulele enthusiasts will know I'm talking about Jake Shiram-Bukarel, who's a Hawaiian ukulele player and considered to be the best in the world at the moment. And he plays all over the ukulele like Eric Johnson plays all over a guitar. I mean, he's that kind of musician. Yes, cutaways, they don't make as many cutaway ukuleles. They've become more popular in recent years. Some manufacturers don't even offer a cutaway version, and some ukulele purists, just like classical guitar purists, don't think that they should be anywhere near a ukulele. So that one's up for debate. Let's look at some of the cutaways here. We've seen this one before, which is the sort of Venetian style cutaway, which you often see on ukes, just because it's the best shape on such a smaller instrument. The other cutaway version is perhaps a scooped cutaway or a recessed cutaway there, which you can see, which is starting to become vogue in the ukulele world. I'm starting to see more and more companies doing this sort of scooped out cutaway rather than a complete cutaway. Not sure how I feel about that. I understand it allows you to get up there, but I don't know about that, how it looks with the top wood showing with the back wood. You tell me. Anyway, that's another version of the cutaway. As you can see, those are the only two that came in the samples. Pix Pusher, who I've heard from before, says, I don't like all the bling, including abalone rosettes and bindings. This is a very common opinion with you all, and unfortunately it's ubiquitous on ukuleles and guitars these days. Etched rosettes or abalone inlaid / mother of pearl inlaid rosettes are just the thing. And of course not all of them are actual abalone. Some of them are stickers or other materials made to look like abalone. And when I decide on one of these ukuleles, one of the questions I'm going to have is this actually real abalone work or not? Let's see. He says it cheapens the product. The cedar tops sound best to me. Any of those bridges are good. The first tie through that you don't actually like sounds the best. So he again, like some of you, like the bridge that just threads through. I suppose it's the same concept as a string through on an electric guitar, which supposedly gives you better sustain. So I can understand the argument for this, and a few of you making this point. The glass finish also looks heavy. I prefer satin myself. My 2 cents, I need buttons on all my ukes. It helps me stabilize it. Maybe you can offer it as an option and an installation for those who want it. Let me cover those two things. I also prefer satin, but I think the design on these gloss ukes in this lot are superior, so I might have to do some thinking on that. As far as strap button goes, I think I'm just going to include them. It just seems like not needing them for myself I'm an exception. It seems like most people now want strap buttons on ukes. If you're standing and playing live, it gives you the option to strap it on. So I just think I will include them. People can always take them off, I suppose. But rather than leaving them off and then having to put them on myself when people want them, I'd rather just go with one or the other. And it just seems like they are popular enough to include. And in fact, they are on all of these samples, which tells me that, that's the majority request in getting these ukuleles made. Another regular, there's Nautia, must be a Northern England follower. I always enjoy your comments. Very interesting. I found that bling does not help move stock, although I like some of it myself. This is somebody who's a seller, I think a luthier, in the know. Those fancy headstocks could become a unique trademark. Again, he's talking about, let me show you a different one. These sort of modern, different versions of a slotted headstock, which I like too, and sort of separate this ukulele from the masses. This person's got a good eye and knows what it's like to sell, so offering me that advice, which I agree with. Personally, I would aim to market the lower end to mid-range models because that's where most of the money is and respect is. You're absolutely right. I'm not going to try to do a high-end model. People who want a high-end model are going to buy a Martin or a Kamaka. So I'm looking for the upper budget and mid-range. A good solid top uke with nice hardwoods, well set up, bone nut and saddle, rosewood board, somewhere in an affordable region is what I'm looking to do. I'm not looking to sell a $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 ukulele. I'm looking to get a ukulele in somebody's hands for, let's say $120 to $150, probably comparable in pounds. That feels like a $200-300 ukulele. That's kind of what I'm aiming for, and that's exactly what you're saying here. The model with the strings threading through the body is a bit tat. So there's somebody who doesn't like the string through version. The traditional tie method is what I like to see, although the pegged version, otherwise called the pin, bridge pins, is also worth considering, as not many people can tie strings and is a strong selling point. That's an interesting thing to say. I'm talking about how the string through version is going to be difficult for folks to navigate. He's saying that most people, let's find a tie bar bridge, most people are not going to be able to do this. You know, you're right, but I think with a tie bar bridge, most people are going to hop on. First of all, most people are going to take the guitar to a shop and have it restrung. You know, that's going to be the majority. So none of these bridges are going to matter for those people. The second group are going to hop onto YouTube and watch a tutorial on how to string a ukulele, and most of the time they're going to get a tie bar bridge. But I understand what you're saying. If it puts people off restringing one, it might put them off the other. Although sometimes the bridge pins are also difficult to pop out, thread through, and replace properly. So I suppose this argument really could be made for any bridge type at all. All these little fellows have their merits, and it would be nice to compile them all into one instrument. Yeah, I mean, I probably will try to do some customizing and get the best elements into a single or a couple of different models. I do not look at branding either, but have to cater to a market that is driven by names. I know exactly what you mean, and I still, and I will throughout, even doing this process, still carry recognizable brand name instruments as well, just because you have to. And I take it you have a shop and you're a seller, so you know what you're talking about, and I fully agree. It's okay to have some of these interesting unknown brands, but you've got to have some Ibanez, some Alvarez. You've got to have some Lanakai if you're doing ukuleles or Lunas or something that people know the brands of. Mr. Keebler, another commenter, I really enjoy, seems to know his stuff. Really like the wood combination tuning pegs of manufacturer number 1. Again, that's this manufacturer. Cedar, nice cedar with the brushed, I forget what they're calling it, offcut ebony. So he likes that one. Really like the modern slotted head and cutaway of manufacturer number 3. So this one gets another vote, which is excellent. Seems to be very popular among you. Yes to strap buttons. Okay, we've already determined that seems to be the majority. Yes to matte satin finish, which also seems to be the majority, although we have to do some work in getting what we want, as opposed to these sort of bog standard satin finished ones that they sent. This looks like every other ukulele on eBay to me. Hopefully the fret markers are on the side of the necks as well. Let's look at a few. It looks, well, no, the satin one just has them on the top. But some of the nicer, nope, it seems to be about half and half. It seems to be certain manufacturers. Manufacturer number 1 has them on the side. Manufacturer number 2, well, we haven't talked about these ones at all, and I think we're going to roll this company out. Doesn't have them and has these sort of cross inlays. I don't think they're quite as good as some of the others. Manufacturer number 4, which people liked as well, one with all the bling on they of course have the side dots as well. I know that's important to some people. I'd rather have them on the side than actually on the top, so I fully agree, and I will put that on my checklist. Thanks for adding that to our concerns. So I just want to thank Mr. Keebler, there's Nautia, Pix Pusher, Dorman Roby, is it Diorman? Diorman Roby, Stephen Aldrich, or Brick, Thomas Tommy, the Old Kid, and Hathis Talila for chiming in and sending those comments. I'm trying to keep this under 25 minutes, so I'll stop now, but I really appreciate the feedback, and I'll let you know what the final decision is on these ukuleles. All right, see you next time.